Surprise! We're a week early. Ha!
Yay! Yeah, unfortunately, I gotta go spend a week in Mexico with friends and family. So we got to record today instead of next weekend.
Oh, well, and we've also kidnapped another director.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Calvin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm glad to finally be on. I've been waiting.
Right. Glad to finally have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. First question, the most important one, because obviously we have talked about a few of your movies. Have we qualified yet as toxic fans?
I think it would depend on who you ask. I don't think so. You know, I'm almost someone who I kind of like it. I'm someone who wants to get better, and the main thing that I tell people who work on these too is that, you know, it's quite a bit like being at a sporting event. You know, everybody in the stand says, "Oh, this guy can't play," but you're the one on the field, man. So I always tell people to not get upset about this kind of stuff, to kind of enjoy it. You know, people are talking about you, enjoy it, whether or not it's
right.
You know, they're praising you or they're saying you can't play. You know, you're the actor that's on the field, so enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, shit, we keep coming back, and for fuck's sake,
right.
I bought the movie. That's how
Good.
I watched it last night.
Thank you.
So it's like I think I might not quite be a toxic fan because I keep coming back.
I don't think so. I think it's all in good fun.
There is a thing with the horror genre, though. There's a bit of you expect a bit of slockiness, and if you didn't get that, you'd be disappointed.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I think we're nearly about to go off before we even started the whole tangent, but ribbon on movies is all part of it, and it's a nerd thing as well. You can't be invested in a movie if you're not going to pick apart every plot point. That's
right.
The whole point.
Right.
There's loads of movies I'm just like.
It's like the difference between a friend and a good friend. A friend you're cool with, you're pleasant with. A good friend you're gonna fuck with and talk shit on because you care about them.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the people you don't like. You're super. It's a British thing anyway. If you don't like someone, you're super polite. You're like, yes, good to meet you, sir. You know.
Right.
Wouldn't be a horror themed podcast with a little kidnapping. Of course, that's what we do here, and that's probably triggered a few people already.
I mean, I'm triggered.
Right. Talking to triggers, we just got our first UK-wide text alert from the new text alert system to warn us when imminent danger is present. Which means, I think like the media last year, a year before, if it's a sunny day, we're all going to burn to death. If it's a rainy day, we're all going to die in flood. Or
sounds
if
legit.
There's no tomatoes because of a bad thing, we're all going to starve. You know, that's the equivalent over here of emergencies, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. is so big that, you know, it's like it's flooding in California, and it's like it might as well be on the moon. Nobody here cares.
Shit, we got flooding out here. We got like record snow for the first time in like 30 years, I think.
Yeah,
that's insane. I'm fine, but everybody else around me is pretty fucked because, you know, I'm smart. I didn't live on a mountain.
Right. Yeah.
You can just look across the mountains going, ha, tits.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like them. Just lovely, bland, temperate weather. Never too hot, never too cold. And then that's why people freak out. It's a bit of a sunny day. It's like, oh, the world's coming in hands. Right. Jesus Christ. Grow a spine, would you? Talking of which, oversensitive people, I wanted to talk to you guys about this thing that popped up. So I'm on an app, Slasher. I've mentioned it before in the channel, where basically it's an app for horror fans. It's good. It's a good way to sort of you meet creators as well. Like, in fact, I've reviewed a few things in the show because of it. But this guy now, he's on my friend list. I think he was only a recent addition. And C. Derek Miller, and that's not his legal name. That's his pen name that he uses. He's an author of extreme horror, and even declared it with this job. Six Flags are in Texas, I think, some sort of railroad. Mm-hmm. It's like an amusement park, I think. Is it?
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
All right. Well, he's with the Texas one. He does like steam engine rides or something. But yeah, he was. This is only a couple of days ago too.
Yeah, it's insanely fresh.
Yeah, 20th. He's approached by HR, who apparently one of the guests, one of the customers, made a complaint against him because of his extreme horror writing, which doesn't factor whatsoever into his job. It's not like he gets on and goes, "Here, I'm talking about bodies today."
Right.
You know, what the hell? But yeah, this utter bastard, and that's the only way to describe him, got this bloke fired, and it wasn't even about monetary. It's something he's always wanted to do as a kid, and got him fired from his job. And there's also been another group harassing him. Yeah, tried to get him marked as a friggin' pedo.
Of course, because that's the trigger word in this country.
Oh god, it's but yeah, because the book was set in 1865, where back then the life expectancy is about 30. You know what I mean? You were considered old if you reached the 30. So because the girl in it was 14, and they know actual sex happened, but it was just a comment by one of the characters. What the fuck's going wrong with the world?
Right.
Like, this has really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, context is a big thing.
Well, and it's like it has nothing to do with anything. It's a fucking book. And like you have to dig to find out, like this is obviously the person's pen name. Like you have to dig to find out their real name and the actual connection. It's like that's just so much fucking effort just to get somebody shit canned from a presumably shit job. It's fucking dumb.
No, well, he actually enjoys the job. That's the thing. It's it's something he's always wanted to do was drive a steam train, and take guests around and do the announcement.
Yeah, I thought you were
but it's not his main income. His main income's as an author. Which is lucky enough. At least he's not worried about now having a roof over his head.
Right.
But this, and we're talking about how horror content doesn't get, don't get the reach. You're fighting uphill as a horror creator, and I'm sure Calvin, you as a director and movie maker, can totally sympathize with us. You're fighting an uphill battle just to get heard.
Yeah, I mean, especially as an independent, I think the article, I didn't read the entire article. I skimmed it last night, but I know that he does reference, Stephen King, and Stephen King is no stranger to controversial subjects. I mean, especially even with children. And I think that, it's tougher as an indie person because, you're already at a disadvantage without the money, without the popularity. But then you're also, more susceptible to attacks like that. And sort of a controversial stance that I have. I think that horror, is, it's mostly, a children's genre, actually. I think that we all discovered it when we were kids. There's always a factor of nostalgia for it, at least for me,
No, definitely.
So, I think the fact that he works at a place that is known for thrill rides for teenagers and he writes horror, I think that both of those things, are very related. I like thrill rides too, for the same reason. Same reason that I like, the same reason that Day of the Dead is my favorite zombie movie because I saw it when I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah, what is going on with these people? Like, we try to avoid the culture war, and I hate that friggin' term. I hate all the buzzwords and crap. Most of us, especially in the nerd sphere and the horror genre, we're all weirdos anyway.
Right.
All we want to do is do our shit, enjoy what we like, and be left alone.
Yeah.
But there's these people, and they just can't leave it. It's like they're salivating just for their chance. Because they're whatever sad life they lead, they just want to tear into people,
right,
and destroy them, and it's really pathetic. I'm surprised nobody's done. There's an idea if it could be fleshed out properly. Troll, about an online troll, and about somebody just sitting in their basement going, "I'm going to get this one," and there's a whole story there to be told, I think, and put on screen.
Yeah.
Get it right, you know. Whitey, brownie, purpley, blacky, yellowy.
No, we're talking about you specifically.
Yeah, it's all about you. Yeah, that's
it. Triggered.
Oh dear. But yeah, I just it's hard enough just to get people on board. Like you said, you're up against that as an independent creator. If you're outside the zeitgeist or outside of the club, you know, you have enough trouble. You don't need this shit as well.
Right.
And I think we all have a duty to call it out where possible and try to stick together. One thing I've noticed about the horror fandom, you know, it can get a wee bit, you know, much, and people can be very petty in it.
Mm-hmm.
But people need to realize that it's only I know it's a long-standing genre, but it's still quite small in terms of like regular fans who subscribe to the genre. We don't need infighting because there's enough arseholes outside of it ready to just happily see us all disappear tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That is definitely one thing I miss about you know, pre-COVID times with horror conventions, is that's where you had to actually see like the real fucking weirdos. Mm-hmm. And it's actual, you know, it's an actual community. Like everybody's fucking cool with everybody. It's just the people that dip their toe in it opening weekend because it's something new. Those are the ones that usually ruin it for everybody.
Right. Yeah. I'm actually going to be at Crypticon Seattle next month for the new movie. And, you know, horror conventions are interesting that way too. And seeing like the, you know, the little subgroups, little subgenre groups as well. You know, it's so vast, but yeah, you do have a certain population, I think, within the genre that's a little more casual and yeah, probably looking for stuff like that, right? Looking for a reason to be pissed off. Unfortunately, you get these kind of tag-alongs that are maybe there to, you know, because they would go to a rave and cosplay at a rave, you know, and that's why they're there. So it's it's tough.
I think it's a whole sub genre, the alt genre, or whatever you want to call it, alt culture, because they're just similar sort of aesthetic. One, I think, like a heavy metaler, think they might automatically be a horror fan, but they're only a fan of slashers, or a goth might be, no, they all think that they can just interchange and don't realize each one has their own group and their own style and what they like and what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's those sort of people, I think, that, I don't know, that because they don't know who they are themselves as a person, then they get disappointed when everything doesn't fall into place for them.
Right.
And then the only way they have to react is anger, and it's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just really no need. And especially if you like something, you like something. If you don't, you don't. I've always been that mind about things. I do not see the point in calling somebody, oh, you're an asshole because you like this and I didn't, or vice versa. That is pathetic.
I mean, there. To be fair, there are instances where that is apt. Like if I say Ernest Scared Stupid is one of the greatest films, and you guys say, "Oh,
there's some morons like a Scream franchise." You know what I mean? Just haven't got a clue about life,
right?
You know what I mean? Just
oh god, or
he missed a few nights up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream is definitely a movie. Adam, it's definitely a movie.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not the biggest slasher fan. I mean, that's why, you know, this last movie that we made, and I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I definitely own, you know, tons of slasher films and watch them all the time, but like in making them, or just, I think as far as like structure, I'm just not, you know.
So when you barge into a tent with an axe waving your arse at the camera,
yes,
you're really not enjoying that.
Right? No, it's well, and that's why it needed to be, you know, a little bit more goofy, or I don't know, you know. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say that, you know, my favorite films are not Friday the 13th and Scream, and you know, they're definitely not slashers.
What is your genre?
More...
What's your inspiration? What's your do what you like to watch and what you like to make? Are they the same thing?
Oh yeah, totally.
So what's you mentioned Day of the Dead? What?
Yeah, so I mean, my favorite subgenres are definitely Italian horror. Lucio Fulci Lucio Fulci is my favorite director. Him and Romero, but with Romero, I really like Martin. I like things that are a little more supernatural. I like things that kind of operate a little bit on kind of this nightmare logic. J horror is big for me. Hammer horror, I really like. Universal, like the Universal classics. So it takes me a little while to go through those subgenres before I get to something like slashers like Scream, and like I said, I wouldn't rule it out. I love them. I own all the movies, but it's definitely not my subgenre.
They're kind of the popcorn flick, when you know what you get, you switch your brain off, you're not expecting anything.
Right.
If there happens to be a plot involved, maybe, so be it, but that's not what you're watching for.
Yeah.
Do you get frustrated? Because the sense I've got from last couple of movies is you're trying to do one thing. It's like you're busting the gut to get something there, and maybe it's not fitting in with the story that you've agreed to tell, or how does the whole creative process go? Like, you're involved with production companies. Is there a bit of push and pull to try and get your stuff out there?
For sure. It also, there are a ton of limitations, budgetary limitations, time limitations are a big one for me at this stage. And I think it depends on the movie, right? Because Mutant Vampires was it was before Ravenwood. It was right before. Here in Portland, Oregon, I was working with a separate studio that had opened with another individual. And I was kind of, he had the money, and, him and I should probably be careful about what I say about this relationship. But basically, I was kind of brought in to help it.
Is it still good on or over?
No, it's over. It's way over. Mutant Vampires was the last of it. But, being someone who kind of also comes from a background of B2B sales, and I've been an actor for so long, and I had been making movies for essentially free and trying to flip them to distribution companies. I said, we need to get a relationship with the distribution company. We need to make something now. And at the time when we did Mutant Vampires, I was watching a lot of Don Dohler movies, which if you haven't watched Don Dohler movies, go watch them. They're 80s films from Baltimore, and it's always like there's an alien that crash lands, and it's like you would think this alien would be sophisticated, but no, he just like turns into this bloodthirsty monster. And I was like, we got it. Let's do that. That sounds really fun right now. Just like, kind of take a piss a little bit and just do something fun. And I mean, Mutant Vampires, I outlined on a whiteboard like right around Christmas, and then 2 days later it was like, here's the script. Let's raise the money. We got to start a relationship with a distribution company. Let's just do this. This is, I think, going to be fun, and it's going to be easy to get actors on board for a low cost. Like, look at this. This is ridiculous. It's called Mutant Vampires. People are gonna, lose their mind to audition.
Right, I was fucking sold
exactly
when I was going filmography. Right. I was like, how have we not talked about this?
Right, and truthfully, that's the one movie of mine, and I always have a time limit to edit these. Like, I have a very limited amount of time from writing to when I need to turn it in to it's in the contract. So Mutant Vampires, though, is the one to me that is like, it's the least done. It was just so, like, the shoot was great, and then the minute that it wrapped, there were just so many problems. It was so frustrating and aggravating. The music never got finished. The sound effects never got finished. And by that point, I had already kind of started this relationship with Breaking Glass Pictures, and we were going to do Ravenwood, and it's the one time where I just threw my hands up and said, fuck it, the music is fine. Like I'm so done with this movie. It was just so frustrating that I wish that it had more time or more money, or that it was closer.
Or just a bit of understanding. We've talked about this before. Like at the highest level of Hollywood, we're doing like a monthly retrospect in Clive Barker movies.
Right.
Every time we go into the interviews and the special features, and that, always the studio and the creator button heads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Don't you understand? Leave the person alone, unless they're completely shit in the bed. Leave them alone, let them finish it. Why would you want a half-finished, half-arsed product out there?
Right, yeah. And
a few minutes of tidying up, or an extra week, or post-production, or bringing an assistant in makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you be against that? Because you're going to rush, you're going to distribute it, it's not going to land well, you're creating a bad reputation, then there's bad feeling between the creators when it comes to the next project. Why do that?
Yeah, and Breaking Glass has been great about it. I mean, they leave me alone to kind of do my own thing. I mean, other than having, a time limit on post, which I think is perfectly reasonable, and I can, usually meet that. I absolutely love working with them, and they've been great. It was the other local studio that there was just a big problem with, and there were just like fundamental issues there with I don't know how we wanted to run things. But
you've always got that. I think any large entity, when you're collaborating, there's always somebody with a vision, and somebody has something different going on, and then it becomes a battle of wills.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
the things, if people are on the same, I've always said, if people are on the same side and want to achieve the same end, there's always compromise available.
Yeah.
But when people are coming at things from completely different perspectives, and that's what we have said, is how the hell do movies ever get made?
It's nearly
business.
Yeah.
It's like, executives, it's their job to say no.
Right.
And they feel like if they don't say no, they're not doing their job. It's the same as any company. Middle management, area managers up, they feel it's their job to poke and find things wrong and wind people. And depending on the personality of the person, they can either come with it with good faith and say, look, I have to find something, but obviously just tidy that up, or do this or do that, and it's fine. But when somebody comes in all balls to the wall, that's what creates the resentment, the bad feeling. And here's the thing: people slag off horror, but horror is the one saving the cinema right now.
Always has been.
Look at the start of this year. It's horror that's filling bums and seats. I went to see Evil Dead Rise on Friday, and the place was packed.
Yeah, fucking sold out shows.
And people are trickling out of the other screens, like maybe half a dozen people out of like mainstream shite. And we're sitting bums and seats, absolutely packed to the gills, laughing and screaming, as the movie goes on. Horror's just got that thing about it. I think when there's a heart behind something, you can forgive mistakes. Yes, poke and laugh at them and make it all, part of it. But at the same time, we're more forgiving in this genre than anything else. There's other companies just burning money right now. They're just putting in big piles, lighting it up and watching it disappear in smoke. It's just absolute lunacy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the horror genre for you. The fans are very loyal. You don't really see in any other genres except for maybe sci-fi, which is like a sister genre,
We have boobies in this movie. Don't be disappointed. There's boobies in this movie.
That is why we all love horror, definitely.
No, it's just annoying that and it just seems to be the talent pool is just diminished because people are more interested in just preaching or antagonizing people rather than actually making good content.
Yeah.
And horror's always been a social, Cameron said before as well, horror's always been a social commentary. It's just how you come across with it. And
yeah.
Times it doesn't need to be either. It just depends on the story.
Right.
Yeah,
well, and it's like horror has always had like the the right level of preachiness. For lack of a better term, like it's all about subtext. It's having something to say without being on a pulpit and screaming in people's faces about it, which other genres don't seem to be able to handle. It always has to be right in the forefront. It's fucking annoying.
I think that's also the creator as well. I mean, that's kind of an issue that I've run into, and I should probably be careful around here because I'm still a working actor. But
Right.
I
was gonna say because we don't care.
Yeah, especially
you're not gonna annoy us. We do.
Well, especially in the area that I'm in, I think that there's a little bit of an issue with people wanting to force a message or force what their voice is, right? I live in
setting buildings on fire and absolutely trashing the place.
Well, I mean more specifically in their art. In their art, right?
Just where you're living specifically is a wee bit of a hot point, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no comment there. You're not gonna get me killed over here, man. But people really like to force, I want to be, this voice, or I want to tell this story because this story is going to be, popular for me. But I kind of come from a very different standpoint with that. I think also having family that my dad is Asian too, right? And I think that coming from that, like I have no idea what it's like to come from war-torn Japan like my grandma did. So why would I try to force that as my voice, for a golf clap? It's so fake. The sort of themes that I try to write about are things that I actually know, which is like the disintegration of a family unit, right? Like that's usually the type of story that I write. You're not going to find me trying to, make a commentary on, what it's like being a Vietnamese immigrant, because I don't know anything about that. And I think that, that's sometimes it's the genre, but other times it's the artist.
You're not one of those Americans that has that weird affliction that they think they're Irish, are you?
Well, my last name is McCarthy. So I don't,
you don't have that strange disease that seems to have rampant
right
through your country.
Right. I think we're all Irish here, and it's St. Patty's Day. Everybody here is Irish.
Oh God.
But my last name is McCarthy.
Properly.
Right. It is McCarthy. So I don't know. Maybe I think I can claim Irish. Right? No.
We get fall out very quickly. Yeah, progressive ideals, we're on them stages. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much of a tan you have. Once you're skinned alive and your blood's pooling all over the place, it's all the same.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? A scream's a scream.
Right.
You know what I mean? When a blood-curdling monster's invaded your soul and ripping you to pieces. And I would argue that the horror genre is really the only one that actually looks around the world for myths and monsters and new ideas. The horror genre from the even the inception of cinema, we've reviewed like some of the classics like Abominable Snowman, and that's always been okay. Here's some tucked away part of the world that nobody's familiar with. Let's go and explore that and look at the lore and find the monster there and then play with it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's always brought excitement.
Even like super recent, well, I guess not super recently, but like within the last couple of years, there was that I'm blanking on the name, but like bringing Native American mythology to the forefront.
Oh, Slashback when we reviewed that.
Well, no, not. Well, I mean, yeah, we got Slashback. No, the one with the Wendigo. I don't remember what the fuck it was called, but I absolutely love that movie.
Oh god, that was Antlers.
Yeah, Antlers.
Oh, that was such a grim. We all you and Adam reviewed that. Yeah, that was grim, but it was beautiful in terms of bringing a piece of not really thought about lore in the world, and there's no, oh, that's cultural appropriation. No, how about celebrating somebody's culture?
Dude, I fucking hate that shit, man.
Oh.
Like I have to argue with people over shit like that. Because it's like, so for instance, like at work, we have a pretty eclectic amount of music. You know, it'll go from black metal 1 second to country to, you know, a Northern Cree drum music type shit. And it's always like you know, when you hold up the color sheet of how white somebody is, they're like right at the top of the list, that kind of white person. They're like, oh, I can't listen to this or dance to it. It's like, why, man? Like, it's not appropriation. That's called appreciation. That's how culture exists. Like, that's how we become like a giant homogenous like culture. Like, that's fine. Now, when you're still in that shit, yeah, then you're an asshole. But if you're just appreciating something, what the fuck's wrong with that?
Right.
That's like, oh, I can't eat Indian food because I'm not Indian. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, in fact, there was someone, because obviously I work with a lot of Hindi people, and I made that joke because it came out actually as a legitimate news article that curry was racist. What? And we were invited for a curry night. It's like, sorry, I can't go. You know what I mean? It says that the Bible, the Church of Woke has told me that I can't do this. And I got slapped around the head. Go, fucking come on, you get out here. It's like, fair enough.
Right. I mean, you know, I look very non-Asian because I'm not. I'm a quarter, but you know, my grandma, you know, gave us the kimonos. Like, we still have kimonos. We were kind of very much encouraged to, you know about our Japanese heritage and culture. And, you know, I mean, I very much do not look Asian. Nobody would ever think so, you know, and that's something that she enjoyed. So I think it's also a little bit, you know, you don't know what somebody's background is too, you know, when you're assuming that somebody is, you know, oh, you're being insensitive, but
right.
You don't know what the story there is.
My dad used to get all kinds of funny looks when I was a kid. We'd be walking around because I am very white. My dad is very dark. Like, I'm half Navajo. There was a few times, especially when we went down south, like Texas, Tennessee, shit like that, where people legit thought that he was kidnapping someone's child.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, I'm his.
Yeah, we had neighbors that thought that my sister and I were adopted by my dad. So, you know, he's very Asian and we are very not, you know.
It's just the look of the gene pool. You know,
yeah.
Happens. I don't know, man. People need to wind their necks in and calm down a wee bit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in the horror genre, we explore this stuff. We go to the dark places because when you go there, you understand your own dark side, and then you exercise it. You know what I mean? You get it out of your system, and I think you're better equipped to deal with the world. I think it's people that have no, you know, the sort of, oh, I'm a nice person. They're always the worst.
Right.
It was probably a nice person that tried to get this got this bloke sacked.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it guaranteed it's like some good Christian.
Right.
Or, you know, in the other side of the coin, the ultra, you know, progressive person, you know, they're always the nice people, the righteous ones, and the always the nastiest bastards you can ever imagine. It just never fails to amuse and infuriate me. But anyway, we're here to talk about a movie.
Yes, half hour in, let's get to this.
Yeah, here wouldn't be us otherwise. Let's dive into the release. So, Conjuring the Beyond. Was that title an attempt to latch onto the universe, or was that your own idea? Just Conjuring the Beyond isn't bringing it in, or was it because you mentioned your distribution company sort of try and steer you a certain direction?
Yeah, I mean, it's not in the writing process, no. But I am involved with coming up with those titles, which I do find to be kind of a fun project in and of itself after the movie is already done. But yeah, no doubt, right? There was new Conjuring movie coming out. You know, what is this movie sort of like? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when people started searching for Conjuring 4, Conjuring the Beyond comes up. It just, you know, it
some of the reviews, I had a look at those.
I love that. I love when there's a great one where someone's like, I don't think that this was made by James Wan. It's like, oh, that's great.
Fantastic.
That's great. I mean, if they knew, you know, I don't think I'm allowed to discuss the amount of money that we get. I could probably play an over/under if you guys wanted to do that, but
higher lower, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing to me. I love that.
There's people actually put reviews, and they're just like, "This is the worst entry into this franchise ever." Blah blah blah, blah. And the Warrens weren't even in it. And you're like,
"Oh, that's fantastic." I feel cheated.
I was say I was reading them on the IMDb and stuff, and there's like people legit.
Yeah, it was great. I got some hate mail from that, and I just really like being nice to people too. Like I refuse to argue with people. I always just, you know, thank them. But there was a woman who told me that like she was really upset because she convinced her friends to watch it because it was the new Conjuring movie and that they were mad at her. And I was like, you got some shitty friends. Like I apologize for that, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll be your friend.
Did she watch it first?
No, she wanted to watch it with her friend. She thought it was the new Conjuring movie.
That's amazing.
So,
oh man, do you know what? That's worth it alone. Honestly, just the like real people and like I just dangle it out like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, the titles really don't matter. So I mean, you know, it's kind of like when you name your cat, right? I mean, I just name a cat a nickname because I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter, you know. But yeah,
I'm on the third Sparky and Pip over me. Here's my two birds.
Right.
So, I've used that name at least 3 times. I'm just like, oh, that was good. I'll just go with that.
Yeah, I think the script was written under the title Night Terrors. You know, because I just knew that it was going to change, that the whole marketing team was going to have their own direction, and I work with them. I mean, I came up with the title Conjuring the Beyond, but yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't written to be a Conjuring movie. Neither was my Amityville movie.
Conjuring, that's a word, you know.
Yeah, it's, you know, hey, you know, whatever works, you know. It doesn't bother me at all. So
that's good. Oh, that's one thing I really appreciate. You have a sense of humor because, by rights, I take it you're not chasing Hollywood.
No, I mean, you know, I'm pretty realistic. I like to make the movies that I want to make. I want to get better. I want to get more money to make these. I want to have more time to make these. But, you know, what I refuse to do is do something cynically. I feel like there are a lot of directors that are in a similar position to me with other distribution companies that do straight to DVD movies, that I get the sense that they get their paycheck and they are just kind of cynically making stuff. I probably won't call out any of them, but you know, I am like earnestly.
Sure, we can all think of people.
Yeah, I you know, I am trying to make the movie that I want to make or write the story, you know, that I want to do, and that's probably why I get a little bit more blowback from people, because I think there are a fair amount of reviewers who go, what the fuck is this? You know,
the impression I'm getting from you, there is this movie you want to make, and it's almost like you're doing these movies, you know, I mean, these are sort of come along, it's the day job, and you've every so often you're pushing in with this, and I think you just want to make a mad bonkers, like completely satirical comedy horror. Would I be wrong?
Yeah, I think that my sense of humor comes through, and that always comes out on set. I think that's something that I have to get better at. I have way too much fun making the movie, and either in post or on set, I'll push it in a certain direction, and then I'll get blowback later from a review, and I'm like, yeah, making, in Ravenwood, making John that mean constantly was maybe a misstep on my part, but you got to understand that in the moment it was so fun to, and as someone who's an actor too, it was just too much fun to be like, no, let's, you got to be Vincent Price here. This is like a 50s movie. You got to, like, if I could give you a top hat, I would, you got to be like, tying someone to the railroad tracks. And then the reviews come out, right? And people are like, oh, he's bad from the beginning. It's like, oh, well, it was way too much fun to not do that.
We can see that, though. I think I'll see that with a couple of, there's this part, you're breaking out into the, it's being played straight, and then you jump in there with something bonkers.
Right.
Or it is taking the piss, and you can just tell, right, he's having a laugh, but I can sense this level of frustration with you. There's something you want to make, and it's not happening with these movies. You have something going on in there, and it's sort of come out in each one of them, and you want to get that. I can kind of tell you want to get that all together into one project.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of factors to that. I mean, part of that is just like getting better too. I mean, I think the newest one that just came out and the one that I'm in post on, I mean, they clearly get better. The more money we get, the more, I mean, time is the big one, I mean, that's why, Mutant Vampires is definitely the way it is, because I mean, the amount of time that we had to actually shoot that was just like, we're up for 24 hours.
Can you actually, with how long it's been since the release, is there, can you tell us how long you were able to shoot for?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, Mutant Vampires, though, wasn't funded by the distribution company. That was the last time that I was trying to build this rapport with them. But Mutant Vampires, I think, was like 7 days. It was like nothing.
Damn.
We didn't see the location beforehand. We didn't, we didn't know. There was no time to scout. There was no time to do anything really. There were things within the script that I wanted to do. I did want to go inside of the spaceship. I mean, that was part of the script. But, judging by, obviously, we had this studio, right, that we had opened in Portland that's no longer around, but we decided to green screen the windows of the car, and it's like, oh God, that looks terrible, So it was like, well, fuck that. I'm not gonna do this interior of a spaceship on green screen. I there was just no fucking time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a short fucking thing. Yeah. Like God, last short that I worked on, it was probably like 14 days shooting. And that was just a little short, so that's insane that you were able to pump that out.
Conjuring was 12 days. Ravenwood was 12 days. And then these newer ones, we finally got enough money to do 14 days. And this last one that I'm in post on was the first time that we ever had enough money to do a load-in day, where we could actually load gear in and not start shooting that day. I mean, Conjuring, we got to that school and immediately I'm like, okay, we need to load all this stuff in and get this, but you got to get the crane up because we got to get her coming in through the front doors. I mean, like, we shot the front doors, her coming in with Victor, like an hour within loading in all the gear and then like building
and that doesn't give you a minute to breathe. And I think that's what we're noticing. It does come across on screen.
There's no moment to breathe at all.
And that's not good, man.
Yeah, the choice.
How do you go about funding? Is it primarily private backers or do you crowdfund?
It's right now it's the distribution company gives us the funding to make it in exchange for them owning a majority of the rights, the ability to rename it, to kind of do what they want with it, which, being at this, I mean, I'm extremely thankful for that. I also know that working in business that it's like, you know, you get the deals that you can, you know, it doesn't always sound great, but you know, people are always like, well, you know, Martin Scorsese doesn't have to compromise. And it's like, well, you know, I'm not, nobody here is Martin Scorsese. There's only one.
How long did it take him to become Martin Scorsese? You know what I mean? Everyone's.
Right. You know, so, you know, you work with the cards you're given and you do the best you can with it. So, I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind working at that pace. I think that it's probably the thing that we have up on some of the other people that are probably trying to get the same position. So.
Yeah. I mean, being able to adapt into that immediately, like that's a huge point in your favor.
Yeah. It's giving me a whole new appreciation, but that was the thing about these. I can tell what you want to do, and that's why we've happily reviewed, you know what I mean, watched them and happily paid money for them, and that's always the thing when you know when you're prepared to rent or buy a movie, you know that you're invested. I can see what you're trying to do, and I can tell that there's something holding you back. There's something getting in the way, and bloody time. There you go. If you're just walls to the wall, trying to pump us out, God, you don't even have a chance to review or tidy anything up. And
no,
God, fair play to you. No, honestly, fair play to you for doing it. So, if you were given an unlimited budget, would you want to go back and remake a previous movie the way you envisioned it, or would you prefer to start fresh with a new story?
Fresh. I mean, I don't want to do any like sequels or. You know, I really enjoy writing. I write all the time. I don't have any delusions that I'm like a great writer or anything like that. But I just like storytelling. I've just always liked telling stories in one way or another since I was a kid. So, I mean, I always get there's always this little germ of an idea that, you know, kind of pops up out of nowhere. So I think that, you know, yeah, if someone gave me $1 million, I would do something new, just move on. You know, you kind of also have to just accept the movie as it is, warts and all. You kind of have to love it for that reason, you know.
Well, I'm probably going to
the fact that it got released, it's a miracle.
There's a certain Uncle George fell in that trap where he just couldn't leave it alone, and he poked and he poked and he poked and he poked. And then his beloved franchise in the state it's in now.
Yeah.
With only a couple of handful of crazy fans.
Right. Yeah. Romero.
I mean
No,
I
don't. I mean,
No, I'm not talking about George Romero.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Uncle George.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm good. Get him ring. We're going to speak to you now, you bastard.
Hey, man, I'm a Star Wars fan. Star Wars fans are the worst thing for Star Wars, so I get it.
Yeah.
It's the same with my first book. It was friggin' it's bugging me because there's something wrong with it, but the halfway point, and it's not right. And I keep having this temptation to just go back and rewrite everything, or to just leave that as, okay, that was my first entry out there and just carry on. But then something sticks in the back of your head. It's like, I wanted to finish that. It wasn't quite what I envisaged, but I wanted to get out there as well. You know, it's bloody annoying. Do you find that as a creative, that's something you have to fight with all the time? Just, you know what you want to get out there, but reality just kind of crashes in on you.
Totally. Yeah. But I don't know. I think I have, and maybe just from working with this company, I have an easier time now just kind of saying, well, you know, I have confidence that this is at least going to lead to the next one, and it'll get better. I feel a little bit like Ed Wood in those moments, if you've seen that movie, you know, or you know about Ed Wood, where it's like the worst movie you've ever seen. Well, the next one will be better, you know. I kind of have that attitude about stuff. So, you know, and a lot of times I can just go, you know, okay, it's done. It's what it is. Hopefully people find some enjoyment out of it, you know. Mainly, I just want people to have fun with them. I mean, if they want to goof on it, that's fine, you know. But as long as people are having
people watching and talking about it, and like there's, like I said, there's movies I've watched, and I'm like, God, I'm not even going to talk about that. There's movies I've got 10 minutes into and went flick off, done.
Yeah, definitely been there.
I think I was talking about it on Friday when you were on, when I was reviewing Evil Dead Rise. The ads that come on before the movie, I'm just like going, never watching that, never watching that, never watching that. So you can understand goofing on that people are actually invested in your plot.
Yeah.
Talking about what was the overall idea for Conjuring the Beyond? What was the kind of story you're wanting to tell?
Yeah, I mean, well, the germ of the idea, it was right after Ravenwood, and Breaking Glass wanted to do another film, and I felt like, okay, I gotta figure this out now before it gets cold, before they forget about me. Yeah. And I was actually working on, usually how it works is I kind of do a bunch of drafts for scripts that I'll send them and say, what about this? And I was working on basically what the movie that I did right after it, which was Pillow Party Massacre. And I had my that was my title. The title came before the movie. But I was obviously really stressed out, and for the first time in my life I had sleep paralysis. And I thought, that would be an interesting like Hammer Frankenstein movie. It was the first thought that I had, because in those films it follows the doctor and he's either transferring the soul or he's doing all these new things. I thought, oh, sleep paralysis, that would be fun for Dr. Frankenstein. And then just kind of on a whim, I started jotting that out and kind of just basically structuring it. And I mean, it was really fast, while the idea was hot, and also just needing to get something over to them that they would bite on. And, that's basically where it originated, was kind of this Dr. Frankenstein story, which was kind of going into it what I envisioned. And then as it went along, it kind of became more of just more of a supernatural idea all around. It really evolved as we did it.
Yeah, because it looked like you were trying to write a mystery at the beginning, because that's what kind of confused me about the opening scene. We had Chester, I was Chester in the bed, the opening scene. And then we hear nothing about him until a news article.
Yeah.
And then there was no payoff. I was like, what was this, the mystery that was going to be solved, or what was happening there?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think that opening scene, at least in my mind, this is my justification for it, I think it serves three purposes. Number one,
it's not about justifying or anything. Maybe it's just I'm genuinely interested in the story. If I don't pick up beats, fair enough. The way I give reviews is just basically as soon as the thing finishes, I'm online streaming as if it's talking with the mates. No, it's kind of the way I like to give reviews rather than nitpicking anything. But I was a bit confused about the whole Chester thing. The movie needed to start off with a horror scene, number one. And then number two, I mean, really the revelation that I wanted from that was that there were past experiments, and maybe it doesn't really click in, but that was kind of like, oh, that's why there's, security cameras, because people would disappear. He's had this happen before. He can't let people go home. Now he's got to keep their keys because, people will end up disappearing. And that's why his experiments as they've gone on have been a little bit more, controlled. That was really the revelation that I wanted, was, oh, the guy in the beginning was like a past participant of the study. But, it's probably not clearly as fleshed out as it should have been. But that was the idea.
Totally get it now.
Yeah, because it was the connected to Victor Fur, who, by the way, I have awarded the most annoying character of the movie award to.
I shared that with everyone, and they all said, "Really?" Because Victor was so small, and then on set,
It was going to be Wanda because of the opening scene. But then she completely turned once she got to the school. She completely flipped her character.
Yeah.
For the opening scene, Wanda was going to get there. Oh God, here's the freaking. Oh God, am I going to have to suffer? Like the other girl's character in the last one, Jax or whatever.
Right.
Star, she was like, "Oh God, if I ever met her, and that character, not obviously we draw the line between the character's not the actor, etc."
Right.
Because a lot of stupid people out there don't get that. They can't make a separation between somebody playing a part and a character. You can plan on the character because that's the way they're meant to be. If they're meant to be annoying, that's the character. Doesn't mean it's the person.
Right.
But, there's a lot of fucking idiots out there, unfortunately. So have to make that distinction. But Wanda at the start was like, "Oh my God, this is a brat. This just can't tear her own shoelaces," and then she just flips and becomes the reason one, and that. So, but Victor, I don't know. To me, he should have been the main character, as in dealing with the participants.
Yeah,
and he appears like 2 scenes, and if he's connected to Chester, he's not trying to solve a mystery himself.
Right.
He's just there to get
there for a fucking paycheck, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny because Victor was very not a part of the script, even to shooting. But Victor is played by Eric Skybach, who is he's actually my AC. He's been my assistant director, and he's not really an actor by trade. I enjoy working with him. I think that he's a better actor than he gives himself credit for. But so we added like all these scenes for him. I mean, he was basically the role of like the creepy caretaker who brings someone in and then takes the keys and is gone. And it was like, oh, it's too much fun. Let's keep him around. Let's bring him back.
No, it was perfect.
Yeah, but then that's where I got confused. Like I said about the initial opening was Chester Fair, Victor Fair, and you're like, okay. If he was just acting the part, to then go, I'm trying to find out what happened to my brother.
Yeah. No. He's got babes at the bar, man.
Yeah.
He's gonna score a threesome.
Yeah, right.
He could care less.
He got distracted by movies.
Yeah. Actually, one of which is the sleep paralysis demon. One of those girls.
Oh shit! I didn't even catch that. That's fucking funny.
I have to say though, the demon was done brilliantly. Like the makeup and the way she was done was fantastic. I tell you one thing you do really well, mate, are your props and your costumes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something you are on point with. Like your visuals makes it enjoyable.
Good.
Well, with this one, like visually, like this one was probably the most, I guess, cleaned up of all of them. Like visually, it was beautiful.
Good.
Like I was like my first note that I made is like, oh my God, this shit looks like super cinematic.
And actually, for once, not just your mate, but I've noticed a lot of horror movies, right? They use generic drone shot, right, for the atmosphere coming in, and then it goes to scuzzy camera.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one, when the drone shot over the lake, and that actually matched with the outdoor shot when
luckily
Wanda arrived. And I'm like, oh, finally, because I am sick of that. I am sick of super crystal clear drone shot. And then when it actually gets on the ground.
Luckily, I work for a company called Portland Drone. So we don't have to like buy drone shots. We actually have like a legit drone crew that comes out because I'm like a camera operator on drones. So like same thing in Ravenwood, same thing in Mutant Vampires, like all those drone shots we can actually do and match. So that's just kind of like a little benefit that we have.
No, well, that's good to see because it happens in so many movies, like especially independent ones that do, and even mainstream movies. You see it; they do the beautiful drone shot, then it goes into the actual set, and it just looks so different. You're like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. It's like two things have just been slammed together. Right. And it's refreshing to actually see that.
Yeah, we can actually set the settings.
Yeah, somebody's starting to press the buttons.
Yeah.
What's the point of the first scene with Wanda anyway? Because it seems to be that bit could have been told when they arrived at the. Could have given you a bit more time in the school
Yeah,
if you hadn't had that opening scene.
I don't know, man. I got it. Like I believed it. It made sense as to why she was just gonna bounce off to some strange place for a week just to get some money. Like I believed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the reasoning for that is probably a lot. It doesn't really have much to do with the story, honestly. I mean, you know, one, it kind of comes from the reviews from Ravenwood, where we did shoot all this other stuff with John and China, and then being a loving couple, and then getting to the house, and in post, I was like, nobody's gonna give a shit about this. Let's just get to the spooky house. And then people
kind of needed that.
And then people were like, no, I wanted other locations. I wanted this. So that was part of it. You know, that opening scene, there's a lot of inspiration that comes from the movie The Haunting too. So I kind of wanted that aspect to it. I wanted like a diversity of locations within it. So yeah, I mean, I think that it was like a little bit of an attempt to make it look a little bit bigger. I think that, yeah, if you're just in a single location, which we almost always are because of budget reasons and time reasons, people catch on to that quick. So anytime I can work in other locations, I really, really try to. So.
Yeah, because we've got the thing of just setting up, because I think because the other three characters didn't get the same kind of setup to come in. So I'm kind of like, oh, maybe spend more time on that. Then we could have got to know all four characters at the sort of maybe a bit more of a level.
Yeah.
Because already you're going, okay, here's the final girl. Right. Which, spoilers, not quite that simple.
Yeah.
Which was cool as well. But yeah, just especially when you're talking about your time constraints and all, the additional scenes, it doesn't seem like you have the luxury of them. The footage
not at all.
You want.
Not at all. Yeah, I mean,
that. You think you should build up a rapport with this company? They're going to maybe give you a bit more freedom.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's.
I think it's something you have to build up to then, and get, you know.
It's slowly building. Yeah, I think that, you know, as long as, you know, the movie that just came out, as long as that does well, and the one that I'm on post on, as long as it does well, you know, the budgets do go up with each film, and we do get more time, and then also just learning from my own you know, mistakes with it and going, oh, I need more time for this kind of stuff. But I mean, you know, the opening with Chester Fair is shot in the exact same house that's Wanda's brother. It's just in a room that we never went in. So we shot all that at the same time in 2 days. It was like shoot all of the scenes with Wanda and her brother and shoot the Chester Fair stuff, and let's get out of here.
All right. Yeah, because it did seem to be setting up as a murder mystery or a mystery to be solved. And I think maybe if the scene had taken place in the school on one of the beds, it might have been like, oh, right, this has happened before. I think that's what the disconnect is, just the scene. And
that's what I wanted to do, but it was like paying for that actor to come, because we usually shoot pretty far outside of Portland. And it was like, oh my God, like I don't have the money to get Daniel Donlin up there for 1 day to shoot. It was like, oh, fuck it. You know, we've already got this house, you know, let's just shoot it here.
Yeah. For one, you know, that's good to see. Right. In movies, the doctors need to wear stethoscopes just to prove
that is something I will die on that hill. If they don't have a stethoscope, they're not a fucking doctor. Period.
He uses it. He uses it twice.
Just the way,
exactly.
Just casually has a slug over his shoulder. But he's in the bar as well. You're like, really, bit?
Oh, he's picking up chicks. He's picking up chicks, man.
Exactly.
Is that where I've been going wrong on my life, Jay? I just have the old stethoscope just in the top. And I love the way the actual bell's in the top pocket as well. Just fuck it.
You know, when you have no money and you can like really flesh out a costume like that, you're really proud of it. So it's like, ooh, look at this. We've got stethoscopes for our doctors, and they're going to use them. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah. Why wouldn't you? Sure.
And that scene with Victor in the bar was like it was like added the day before we decided to do that. There was a bar in town. We had some off hours. I walked down there and I said, hey, can I come in early tomorrow and shoot something here? You know? And so, I mean, it's not like they're like, well, shit, he's got to wear the same costume, right? Let's just put him in his doctor thing. He's picking up chicks.
No, I totally believed it with that character, that's how he would go out and about in, like, you know, the outside world. So
yeah, he's a piece of shit. You know, he doesn't care.
That's why I put a note here. Should the character not have been Chester Pretorius instead of Fur? Would that not have tied in a bit better?
No,
I don't know. You said that.
Sense,
I thought that was funny. Yeah, I had never thought about that.
And the doctor's like trying to find his brother, and that's why he's bringing all these people in to replicate the experiment that happened that went wrong.
I kind of liked him being a little bit more Dr. Frankenstein-esque. I mean, I remember working with Steve and telling him, you know, like it's same thing with Frankenstein. I always kind of question, like, what's Frankenstein doing? He's just got this this drive to find something out. He's not doing it for monetary gain. I mean, he's not going to like publish his preliminary notes when he figures out how to create life out of dead bodies. He's just doing it because he's almost like a drug addict. Like as a filmmaker too, I always tell people that Frankenstein is my spirit animal. Like I don't really know what it is that I'm chasing. I'm just in the lab. So I think that Pretorius
that really comes across, mate. I'll be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just a mad scientist,
which I actually enjoy. You know, I love riffing on it, but I actually enjoy that aspect, just the bonkers, because you know, you're just throwing something. You're just like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, this is gonna work. I swear. You know, that's what people will probably hear from me more often than not, because they're very long shoots, and you'll kind of rally the troops and go, you guys, this is gonna work out. Just trust me.
Do you do any extras? No, the physical copies, like the Blu-rays or anything? Do you put a lot of the extras in, or maybe you know what? That could be your stick. Honestly, at the start of each movie, guys, this is going to work out this time.
Yeah.
You know, I can just see a whole theme for your movies, and I know for one thing, I'd be just like, hi, here we go again.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys have to do the next one too. That's why I can't.
No, it's already queued up.
Yeah,
I was actually while we were sitting here talking about it, I was looking up. You guys aren't doing a physical release for Pillow Party Massacre, are you?
It was supposed to. That's another thing with the distribution company. You know, physical media doesn't sell super well.
Yeah.
So I think,
unfortunately, it is pretty niche.
Conjuring got one. Amityville got one. If the numbers come back to where they're like, we're not going to lose money on printing Blu-rays, they'll do it.
I'll need to get that link. Actually, when I was speaking to Acrostar, the guys at Acrostar, they use a print-on-demand service.
And we've done that. Yeah, we've done that with our past ones, like with Ravenwood. You know, we did our own DVDs to take to conventions and stuff when we're invited. But as of now, it doesn't look like it with Pillow Party. It could certainly change, I think, if it does well enough. But unfortunately, I haven't really gotten to do any extras or any commentaries on them because they kind of will come out.
Well,
that's the
unfortunate thing is like the days of, you know, extras. It's like, unless you're paying for that shit out of your own pocket, it's not
right.
Gonna happen.
And I mean, I have a huge like physical media library. I mean, I have an entire room in my house that's just my VHS and DVD collection. You know, so I love it, but I get that it, you know, people don't buy DVDs anymore. It sucks.
It's only nerds like us.
Yeah, it's just people like me, you know.
Same.
Yeah, that's like love doing an unboxing video with like, oh, I just got this collection again, yay! You know, it's
right.
You almost missed the physicality. I think it's going to make a resurgence. It's a bit like vinyl. I think it's going to make a comeback because
that's what VHS is. Which is insane to me.
Oh yeah, you can get loads of special edition VHS and stuff. And it's okay.
Yeah, I go to VHS swaps all the time in Portland.
Oh man, I wish we had that out in this area, but I'm pretty sure my wife's glad that we don't have that out in this area.
Right.
I'm a sucker for VHS. Like it's shit quality, but man, there's just something so magical about having that bigger art and just this brick in your fucking hand. It's like, yes, this is a film I'm gonna watch.
Yeah,
this.
Something. Because that's what we'll talk about. That's where horror. We'll talk about back in the rental stores, Blockbuster over your side, Extravision over here and stuff. It was the horror posters with the striking ones.
Mm-hmm.
The horror section at the back, sometimes behind curtains, right next to the porn.
Yeah.
Right.
Always. I'm looking at the horror. I'm watching people dismembered. Honestly, I'm nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
In fact, you get better porn in horror movies, I think, than porn movies.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's why I say, I'm always saying that it's sort of a child's genre, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because at least my experience was going to the movie rental stores, and that's the section that calls to kids. When you're 9, the horror section, you look at all the covers and you're like, oh, what's this? This is gonna be great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Physical, if no other genre, at least in the horror one, that's where physical media still has a chance, because it's God, that was the best artwork of anything. Horror movies can be absolutely awful, but they seem to always have the best covers.
Yeah, totally.
I've been sucked in more than enough.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
I'm gonna watch that. Oh shit! What am I watching?
Right.
I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. You're saying Pretorius more of a Frankenstein character. It's strange the way he was sitting, like, having a drink with the participants and stuff and being so sort of forward and open. To me, he should have been more of a in the shadow sort of character, and that's where Victor. Now, I've obviously explained the whole the reason why, but Victor should have been like the link between the participants and Dr. Pretorius, who's like almost behind the curtain going, wow, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Pretorius was just too fun to write. And I mean, I probably should have cooled it on him. Even the actor, Steve Larkin, was like, Jesus Christ, mate. Like,
oh my.
But I mean, like I said, I take a lot of inspiration from the Frankenstein movies, where he is like the main character. He's kind of friendly to get what he wants. Also a little bit of like Richard Johnson from Zombie. I just wanted him to kind of be a part of the group in a way. I wanted him to be kind of like this trailer trash version of a scientist. His dad was, I think I told him, I was like, I think Pretorius comes from a very long line of very successful doctors and scientists. And you're kind of, you've probably been told since you were a kid, you'll never get rich on pure research. So that's why he's like smoking inside and drinking. And he's a little bit of an enigma. But he was just too fun. I mean, he was too fun to leave out of scenes, So,
yeah, is that the trap you fall into? You just like, do you know what? We're having fun here. Stuff, script. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of the script. It came out in the writing. Really, it was just like I can't leave Pretorius out of this. I mean, he's got the funniest voice out of anyone to me. Right. Well, writing all of his psychobabble was great.
He's such an interesting character, and like even just visually, like the way he uses his face, it's like you can't help but be drawn to him. So definitely a smart move to have him like more in the forefront than in the background.
Yeah, and Steve is great. Steve is actually the mutant vampire too. So
fucking A.
There we go.
Yeah, a foreigner.
Yeah,
that was our.
I'm doing. Not when I'm watching your movies. I'm like, right, same.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the joke in Mutant Vampires, was because he's from the UK. He moved here a couple of years ago, and we're like, you're perfect as the mutant vampire because you're a foreigner who's trying to get acclimated to Earth. You know, you show up, you see this axe murderer, you just think that this is how the planet behaves. You know, it's really a story about trying to assimilate to a culture.
Hell yeah.
Is what we
yeah, my assimilation didn't go that well. That's why I'm back here.
Because you didn't grab an axe. You should have grabbed an axe.
If only. We'll not talk about that. There's a few occasions. Yeah, I think I said other Wanda, she had an interesting redemption arc. Like the way you set her up initially, the way she became, was that intentional or was it just the way she played it?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I kind of always like the idea. Like I said, I usually do things that are like a little bit of like this family unit kind of falling apart. And I always like the idea. I think that it's in most of the films, or at least it's there a little bit, that like kind of the person who's the weakest is the one who steps up the most in moments of crisis. I think especially within like a family unit. I kind of like that redemption story. It's never the toughest one who kind of figures it all out. It's always like the tougher people seemingly that fall apart first. So yeah, that was always planned for Wanda to solve the mystery, to be kind of level-headed, to, you know, not just want to run away or, you know, wanting to fix the problem. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely designed to be that way. I think it probably works better here than in some of the previous films. And I think that was just like a learning curve, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the thing I was skeptical because you were coming on the show. I didn't want to be, you know, I mean, I want to give an honest review.
No, you can hit me with both barrels, man. I enjoy it.
What I'm saying is, though, is I did notice the change in this one. I did notice a change in the sort of style, and you definitely see the come together. Obviously, bringing up points that came, but I didn't want to just be, oh, I have to pan on this because I'm got to stay in character, because that's not awesome either.
No, and you can.
I mean, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the way this came together. And like I say, my frustrations are, I can see the sort of mystery story there, and it didn't get paid off.
Yeah,
and but I could see a story where, like, meeting vampires, it was just kind of all over the place. It was like, what is actually happening? And I couldn't latch onto any threads that carry me through.
Yeah, Mutant Vampires is, I mean, more or less just supposed to be, you know, like a Don Dohler film. It's just kind of like a dumb slasher, but, you know, once again, it's like, this has just got to be fun, was my focus with that. And then, you know, Ravenwood was more like, I've just always wanted to do like an old 50s, old dark house movie. And then I think Conjuring was the first time that I was really like, okay, you know, this isn't just something that I've been dying to do since I got my one chance. So it was maybe a little more fleshed out of an idea. And then we learned
definitely
stuff.
see it. You can definitely see the ideas there and the stories there. And fair play to you for, you know, those times. Schedules are brutal.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Right.
Well, and you know, it's we're just always learning stuff. I mean, even with Conjuring, like, you know, it was apparent in editing where I'm like, gosh, this is really a tale of two halves. And, you know, it probably takes too long to get going here. And that's why in the next one, there was way more emphasis on just like starting the action and pillow party and not letting up. And with this one, I mean, those are the notes that I've been getting, is that the pacing is getting better. You know,
dude, that's one of the notes I made on my end was like the pacing just felt perfect.
On this one,
it was on board.
Yeah, like it was nice and solid. Like it didn't linger more than it needed to.
I feel like it's too slow, but you know, yeah, you learn from that stuff. And it's funny, I did want to bring it up just to backtrack. I mean, you know, I take everything, all the notes that I get from reviews from you guys to heart. In Ravenwood, I remember the review that you guys did where Cameron, I think you said about, because I cut the lav when the character is far away. And then I think you said like, I'll buy you guys a second lav, just so you have it, And the sound guy was all pissed off that I cut the lav, but I can remember in editing going, well, she's far away and out of focus, and he's close, and she sounds so close. Maybe I ought to cut it. And then, now going into post, anytime I have that thought, I'm like, they're kind of far. This character's far away. Should I make them sound further away? I'm like, nope, no, because that's on the. So we always do take that kind of stuff to heart. So
yeah, it's back to you can take away where you can't add on. So if you have it, you can reduce and play with it. But if you don't have it there, because that was about the stir scene just took me out of it. I was like, oh shit.
Right. Yeah. And I can remember thinking too. Oh, well, they're further away. I need to. I'll just use the boom here, which is a little further away, but our perspective has changed. And those are just like learning curves that you just figure out, and you don't know until somebody points it out and says, what the fuck is this?
That's a hard
major learning curve. Look at this channel.
Yeah.
Go back to the early episodes.
That's one of the hard parts when it comes to like being face first in any form of art. Like you are too close to it to catch that shit. So yeah, it's important to have be able to take in outside perspectives. Like I wouldn't be where I am artistically if it wasn't for the fact that I fucking listen to everything everybody says about my shit. It's like that's how you progress. I know there's a lot of people that hate that shit, but it's like, why would you hate that? It's like that's the whole point, is to have something that's acceptable to multiple people, not just yourself.
Right. You can't be thin-skinned.
I've as well for my stuff. I've had my stuff banned, and it's fair enough as long as there's a reason given. Yeah. Like I said, I can't stand people just, oh, fucking shit. You don't fucking make a movie.
That shit's stupid.
That's, you don't listen to people like that. That's fucking, that's just a morsel. But if somebody's like, I didn't like this, and back to what I said, as long as you're not chasing Hollywood and calling people outright istophobes because they don't like a movie or don't like an aspect of it, oh, you're a Nazi. It's like, yeah, mate, okay. Calm yourself.
Yeah. I think it also helps that, I started off as an actor very young. I also came from the theater. So I'm no stranger to, you would go into an audition and people would just be like, hey, you're just not tall enough, Sorry. So you get pretty thick-skinned pretty quickly. But yeah, there are a lot of artists, even around here that I know who, are mortified of getting a movie released just because someone is going to say something negative. And it's like, well, you'll learn from it, or playing sports too. That was another thing you learn. It's like, people will just tell you you suck. You got to get better at something, You
I think we've had trolls in this. It's the minute you step above the parapet, and I always have respect. Anyone that is prepared to stick their head above there and go, this is what I'm making, I'm putting out in the world, always has my respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're all about independent creators trying to push people onwards. It's not about shutting folks down. It's like, if you become a super high-rated director and you spend some time with us along your journey, fair play to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing but admiration for doing it. We need more creators, especially when you see the corporate sludge that is pumped out on a daily basis with no imagination whatsoever. How can you, fault anyone for trying? We need more creators. I deal with a lot. We obviously deal with a lot of authors as well, and that's a real toxic environment.
Mm-hmm.
And people are afraid to put pen to paper and put something out there because there's those petty-minded arseholes that will tear someone down because of their own insecurities or jealousy.
Yeah.
And there's no need for it.
Yeah. And it comes with the territory, These movies are fun to goof on. It's made for very, very, very little money. And
that's the fun of the horror genre.
Right.
And the thing is, watch the minimum like 3 movies a week.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to. Well, I wouldn't want anything to be Oscar worthy anyway, because the Oscars are absolute shite.
Right. Well, and it's the fact that people still even believe that that's an unbiased thing, and you don't pay for those awards, is just insane to me.
Yeah,
right.
and the American term is all like circle jerk, and that doesn't inspire me whatsoever.
No, I mean, cult status is really where it's at anyway. I mean, you would much rather have a small group of dedicated, like, devoted fans who appreciate you,
They'll with you 10 years, 20 years down the line.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time even working on bigger sets sometimes, just because it's too up its own ass, so.
Yeah, couldn't be annoyed with that. And that's one thing I don't get. There's no sense of pretentiousness about these. Which I've watched some movies and they're just so far. In fact, A24 kind of teeters right under that pretentious arsehole. Some of our stuff's good, but then there's other stuff you're just like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get off your high horse. And it just takes me out of the zone that I have no excitement or even panning on it for comedy's sake. They just end up going, I'll forget about it 5 minutes after it's done. No, it's you definitely don't want to be there. One thing in this, actually, I have to say, there's the dancing scene, right?
Oh yeah,
fucking loved it.
I was one time this channel. There's a local bar down the road from me near the cinema, and I called them once. It was after the movie because I went to see a matinee showing. I think it was Men. Talking about A24.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. Right, honestly, and I think, fuck, I need a pint after that.
Yeah. Right.
And it was like 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and I went in. The bar is practically empty, and there's this sort of group at the bottom. Then about 6 people come in, and they all just start dancing with each other, and then they turn up the fucking boogie box, and I'm just like going, "What the hell's going on here?" That scene just brought me back that moment. And then during that time in the bar, the one creepy dude, the one creepy dude in the bar you don't make eye contact with. Well, of course, stupid me happened to have somehow glanced his direction, and then he starts sitting in one seat, and then he starts edging his way down. I'm like, fucking plug, I'm out of here. Yeah. I don't need that shit. That gave me a flashback, that scene. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, some of the reviews have made fun of that, and it's hilarious. Yeah, and to be honest, I can't honestly remember if that was a part of the script or not. I want to say that definitely Jax and John were supposed to be dancing. It may have been a little more. No, I think it was always a little bit like that. I think I wanted it to be kind of this obnoxious dancing. I just really wanted to separate Wanda from the group. So it was like, how,
you wanted her to be able to talk to Pretorius? Is that?
Yeah, and that they're right. The rest of the group is like kind of fun loving and goofy, and they're able to just like be friends. So unfortunately, nobody was good dancer.
Yeah, but is anybody really a good dancer?
So.
Oh god, I've tried to throw shapes after a few pints in the football. I got told that I'm never allowed to pole dance again, like back in the early days.
Right.
Apparently, that's a tragedy to behold. So.
No, yeah, and John really, I think, embraced obviously like the being a bad dancer in that scene with his moves.
Yeah, it was so fucking good. I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing and applauding.
Good. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it just brought me back that time in the bar. Like I've talked about in the show, right? I was just like, oh shit, I'm back there again. You took me back that moment. I'm going, fuck, someone's going to sit. I'm just waiting for somebody to sit beside me on the sofa, like randomly, like the sleep demon, trying to fucking talk to me or something.
Right. Yeah. You're Wanda in that moment. Some people are Wanda. Some people are Captain Turtleneck.
Fuck yeah.
Some people like
that was also one of my notes was just all caps, motherfucking Captain Turtleneck. As soon as he walked in wearing that turtleneck, it was hands in the air screaming, and my wife's looking at me like I'm a fucking idiot. I was like, yes!
You know why he wore a turtleneck in this one? Because you guys called him Captain Turtleneck in Ravenwood.
Dude,
and he loved it. Yes, he
amazing.
He loves it.
Yeah,
I was
like, there's no way in hell this is an inside joke.
It is now.
That is fucking beautiful, and it was definitely appreciated.
Because we shared amongst ourselves the Ravenwood one, and he loves it. He's also kind of he's like me, where things just really roll off his back, and I think he would much rather have people dogging on him than not talking about him at all. So
yeah, I know, of course.
I know that he loved it, and that's why in this one he's got like the really gaudy sweater.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful.
I think he went out and bought that for the movie too. He was like, all right.
Oh, brilliant! That's classic. Honestly, I've been looking forward to future movies just to be like, yes.
He makes an appearance in Pillow Party, but he's not. He's wearing his normal costume in that one.
I think you need to do like a pure comedy, maybe as a side project.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean, this is your bread and butter. This is getting you established and regular work for your friends and crew. But I think you want to make a horror comedy. I know you do. I can.
Oh yeah.
You want to make an absolute goofball of a movie that's just bonkers from start to finish, and you're fighting. I can see these movies. You're fighting against yourself, like the whole way through, and I can appreciate it. No, I can appreciate the struggle. And that's actually what I enjoy, and I enjoy riffing on it because it's like I know what you want, and I think when you do get that point, you're just gonna create something mad.
Yeah, that's what the acquisitions department has said with Breaking Glass, is that the guy who's kind of the head of that department, when I talked to him on the phone, he's like, I think I understand what your sense of humor is like through your movies. You have I feel like I understand what makes you laugh just from watching the films. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really do go into it thinking that I'm not going to do that, and then it just comes out. It's too much fun on set to not have a laugh with at least a certain aspect of something. So I have a hard time. I mean, I probably need a wrangler, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, just someone to understand. That's why I think you need that outlet. I think you need a side project. I think you need it either crowdfunded or purely on the side. That's what you want to make.
Right.
And make that's where your that excess energy you have, put into that, and I think you will create something glorious. Really, I can just see it. I get your sense of humor, and I can see you fighting against yourself with these movies. That you what you want to do is not happening, and maybe I was mistakenly thinking that maybe the actors aren't on board with your vision. It's almost like you want me to do what?
No, they trust me. Unfortunately, they do trust me.
It's weird because like the sex scene in this movie seemed a bit kind of just thrown in for fun because it wasn't getting any flirtation between Margot and Porter.
Yeah,
that
was sad. Yeah,
bumping against each other, and then all of a sudden they're having sex. It's like,
I mean, that's the real life, man. That's how it goes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I kind of thought that. I don't know. That kind of seems to be a trope sometimes, that you have these two people who are attracted to each other, but they bicker and fight. I mean, that's kind of like right in high school. I don't know. Usually the girl that maybe that was just me, but that you kind of have beef with in class is the one where there's at least like a sexual attraction. And I was kind of hoping that maybe it came across that they kind of like each other. They're probably not going to get married, but there's an attraction between them. I mean, that was set up to be that way, and I wanted it to be a very non-sexy sex scene. Actually, it was also kind of played for laughs a little bit. I also wanted to
see John's face. He's just like, okay.
Yeah.
She's trying her hardest, and it's like, somebody's not into this.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know. Hopefully, I'm sure John will see this. Hopefully, he doesn't get mad at me. But I think that he was a little nervous to do that scene. I think that was the first time he's had to do that. And I've done nudity a ton. That's what keeps me employed in Portland, Oregon, is I'm a guy who's totally willing to do nudity. But I think for John, he was a little nervous to do that. He had never done a sex scene before. So,
that's so sweet.
And Jax was just like, oh, wait, it's fine. You'll be fine,
she doesn't
kid.
give a shit. I mean,
Yeah.
still, she's just like up for it. Like same with the last one, she's throwing herself about and doing dancing about and just like, yeah, I'm up for it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Jax is in real life quite a bit like Star from Mutant Vampires. I mean, that really is kind of how she is in real life. But she's a hoot. I mean, on set, it's good to have that very high energy, overly positive person in your corner. Because if the other actors start to get in their own head or tired, you've got.
Yeah, it's funny because she wasn't playing that.
Have that dynamic.
She wasn't playing that same character in this one.
No.
That was good to see about her range as well. She just wasn't playing exactly the same character.
Yeah.
The school's only until the dance scene and the sex scene. It was like, all right, okay. And then she's back the way she was. But playing a different character. And that's cool to see. There's nothing worse than seeing just the same character through and through. But why hasn't Tim Coyle's beard got his own character record credit?
Right.
Like, come on, that's a character in itself.
Yes, he's so.
Beard walks into the room first, and he just kind of folds in behind it.
Yeah.
The distribution company loves Tim, too. They love him. The funny thing about Tim is, I mean, he is an actor, but his trade, he's our lighting technician.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, that's where he gets all of his work. But him and I are really close friends. He's a huge horror fan as well. And he's been acting. He was kind of like struggling to get more roles. He's always getting hired to be on crew. And so I've started putting him in stuff. And yeah, his beard does need a credit. For sure. I want him to play a biker, actually. That's kind of my next big thing that I would love, have him play like an abusive boyfriend. Because he's like the nicest guy in the world.
That'd be great to see that.
Yeah. Almost like a Killer Clowns type thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Biker, and then try and take on the monster, and then
right.
We never got to see what the Sleep Demon's purpose or plan was. Because it wasn't their typical.
I don't know. I kind of argue against that. It's a fucking sleep demon. It's pretty straightforward. It's an A to B type of thing. It's just trying to fuck me.
But I was getting a wee bit more from it. It was not your typical,
right.
Because of the actress, the way she played it. I was thinking there's maybe something more to the demon.
Yeah.
Because we weren't getting from Pretorius what he was actually trying to achieve. There was a wee bit of a disconnect there. And I was getting the impression that it wasn't just a simple case of accidentally opened the door and this thing came through, because it did it once, and obviously if you could just shut the door, you wouldn't be opening the door again and again. And that's where this movie kind of gives me a disconnect with the plot.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, to me, I was, I'm sure in the moment, if someone would have brought that up in the script, it would have been like, well, I don't know. I don't know what Godzilla's motivation is either for attacking Tokyo. It just is, it's a good conflict because it's cool. Because it's cool, man.
I mean, that's good enough reason for me.
Yes. I think what it was, because you've planted, so if you hadn't planted any seeds,
right,
I would just go along with it. But you planted the seed with Chester,
right,
and then you planted the seed with Victor, and then you planted the seed with Pretorius himself. And I'm trying to join the dots. Do you know what I mean? If, like I said, if it had been Chester Pretorius and one of his previous experiments went wrong and he's trying to bring his brother back.
Right.
And then the demon had him at hostage, but then maybe a bargain was going to be made. Brother for the other three or something. Something. I was expecting something like that because you planted the seeds of the story there. And then I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. And then when it doesn't, I'm like, kind of like, oh, what's happening?
Right. Yeah.
That's just where I got a wee bit confused with it.
Yeah. No. That's fair. Yeah. I didn't think about that actually.
I told you I'm a big nerd, and you know, it's not picking apart for the sake of criticizing. It's like I love us like yourself. I love stories.
Yeah.
Tell me a story, and everything else kind of falls into place. But I'm looking for the the story beats. I'm looking to follow along the tail and to see what's actually going to play out. And then I want to make theories at the start, and either be carried along and think it's going to happen, or be disproved and go, oh, there's the part I missed.
Right.
That made me make the wrong assumption. You know, that's kind of the way when I really enjoy a movie, that's kind of bits I bring out when I'm doing a review, you know. Even with slashers, that's why slashers aren't my favorite either. You know, I enjoy them just for a bit of fun, but
right.
I can't watch like 3 or 4 slashers in a row. That's why I love horror though, because you have such an expanded range. You can watch a slasher 1 minute, a supernatural following it, and a psychological horror. You know, you can get a whole range of stuff. Horror is just that beautiful sprinkling of gore and guts and terror on top of it, of the story.
Yeah, that was my issue with slashers too. Even with the new one that came out, you know, it's like it basically kind of comes down to like, okay, how many, you know, I got to have like red herrings, right? You got to like not know who the masked killer is. It's a little bit of like a Scooby-Doo format, you know, like, you know, where do you go with this? So I mean, that's kind of the fun with that. But yeah, supernatural film, you can really get into the weeds with different motivations for, you know, a supernatural creature and stuff like that.
And the beats for the supernatural always is somebody has invoked this thing or offended the thing or opened the book that they shouldn't have opened, and you know, it's all about putting the genie back in the bottle. Or appeasing the spirit. You know, and they're always the best type of supernatural movies, you know, where it kind of falls along those beats. But there's always plenty of scope to refresh, and it's never the same.
Yeah, you can always do something different with a supernatural film.
Yeah.
And just finding this movie, definitely things just ramped, you know what I mean? The pacing was cool. And it just ramped up, you know, as the demons the zombie things, though, I was trying to sort of fit them in. Because I was thinking she was pulling them into the other portal, and then when they came back.
Yeah. That was like, kind of the idea there, was that, you know, she can use them as minions. And that's a little bit of a carryover, I think, from a separate story that I was writing for them. It was actually like a kind of wanted to do a mummy thing, but it was like way too expensive. But I like the idea of like this kind of like mummy high priestess also having, you know, the people who she like steals souls from to regenerate. She can kind of then she has like these zombie minions, and it's like, oh, that would be fun. You know, what if
this would have been a good time for Chester to appear, I think.
Yes.
I would have tied it in, but obviously logistics, you know,
and makeup. I mean, I'll tell you the amount of time that we were able to have the sleep demon makeup and the zombie makeup was, I mean, there was nothing. I mean, we had to shoot everything and then double back and fill in all of the creature effects in like 2 days. It was so hard. We were up until like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. one night just trying to finish it. Because I mean, even China, the actress in the demon makeup, she couldn't use her hands, she couldn't see, she couldn't do anything, and you know, she would kind of like isolate herself in the school because she just didn't even want to be around people in that makeup. And she was like, "You have to get me out of here." So that was tough. So like, you know, the zombie stuff. Yeah, there was discussion about having the other zombies in it too, but there was just no time to put anyone else in makeup.
Shame, because once again you can see.
Yeah.
But that's one more, and I think you can see those seeds of the story, and you know something's interfering.
Right. Yeah.
Bring it all together, and that's the frustration with watching this.
Yeah, and that's kind of fun of making them too. Honestly, I enjoy the curveballs. I enjoy, you know, we also had a power outage at the school one day where we had no power.
Oh shit!
there's a couple of scenes we had to redo the shooting schedule for that day because we had to figure out what can we do on lights that can just be powered by V-mount batteries because we lost power for like 8 hours. So it was like, okay, we can do this, we can do that. The toilets didn't work for 10 hours. It was crazy. So, I mean, and everybody freaks out, right? Especially Tim, who's doing the lighting, is like pissed off and, having to be like that voice of reason to go, no, we're going to get through this. We're going to do it. We're not going to fall apart here. What scenes can we do with the lights that can be powered off of battery?
Was that the reason for the candles, or was that the original plan?
That was definitely part of it. Also, one of my favorite filters for the lenses is a Cinebloom filter, which is like a black pro mist filter, which adds a lot of bloom to stuff. And I just like the way that candlelight looks with the Cinebloom. So it was the same thing with Ravenwood, right? It was just like, fuck it. Yeah, let's use the candles, some of the lighting fixtures don't work. It looks cool. It looks pretty. It looks a lot prettier than just watching it. So that was part of it. But, there are a couple of different reasons for things like that.
Nice.
Cool. And just obviously finally, it all comes to a culmination. And obviously, you don't mind if I spoil this, but
no, not at all.
Just obviously, the time loop aspect at the end was just it just brings me back to, don't know if you've ever seen it, 2009's Triangle.
Yeah.
Set me up.
Yeah.
We actually need to do that movie sometime.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
That was such an underrated, brilliant movie. It's one of them you can watch again and again. But that just brought me back. I'm like, oh, that's where I love that when people do time travel right. Do time loops right. It's fantastic. Unlike say the Terminator franchise, which keeps arsing up every iteration.
Right.
What I mean? They couldn't do time travel to save their lives. But yeah, that whole fact that this was all a dream sequence under hypnosis and then straight back into it, and then she's caught in the time loop.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to have to go through this again and again. Is like, oh yes.
That they've been They've been in hypnosis the entire time, which I think also made it fun to add weird elements. And this film was maybe the one time that one of the actors had some blowback on some of my like weird game time decisions. Right? They're like looking at the book and then the metronome is clicking. And that was just like spur of the moment. I was like, oh yeah, let's have the metronome going. And she's like, what? No, that doesn't make sense. It's like, no, you guys are in hypnosis. Well, don't.
Yeah, I was like, that makes pretty good sense.
Yeah, that was good. Obviously, hypnosis is hard to bring across anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Because people have to want to be hypnotized, so it's hard with a horror movie if somebody's resistant. Right. So you have to kind of rush that. So completely got that, and nobody can just pick up a book and hypnotize somebody. You have to suspend disbelief, right? But you've done that aspect of it really well. But he had more time. That was that sort of aspect of what Pretorius was doing and what he was trying to achieve at the end, but didn't get to see that. That's really frustrating thing about it, and that's the sign of a good movie. Though when you want more. Do you know what I mean? If I wasn't enjoying myself, I'd be like, no, fuck, that's over and don't have to watch it again. But this one I'm like going, I want a bit more of that. That's there's a good thing there. Oh God, why isn't it there? And I want that mystery solved that was laid at the start. Where is it? Or even the fact that it never got resolved, but he's still carrying on the experiment. That was a cool thing with the time loop. Then that actually brought me right back. Going, oh, he's still doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's actually what tied this whole movie together. From all the parts that, like I said, I was having Lily points about. That actual, rather than the traditional beat the monster, everyone walks out in the sunset, monster crawls out again. You know, doing that actually gave this whole movie a new dimension, which I actually really, really enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, that's also like a reoccurring thing with me is I usually don't have that characters being victorious. So I always just find that to be not real. I think in every single movie, it kind of ends with people worse off. You know, why would you take all that time to, you know, fuck the world up just to like make everybody, you know,
just reset back to where it was that happens.
Right, everybody's okay. So
you
can always expect that. I think Mutant Vampires is maybe the closest, but you know, to oh yeah, okay, they beat the monster, but there's still more of them, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for towards the end. I was hoping for about 6 or 7 of those, you know, monsters in spacesuits to arrive, or people getting turned.
Yeah. That was an aspect too. That was something that we just like. There was just no fucking way. I mean, the actor, like, we didn't have enough time and enough money to pay people to stick around to be vampires. So it was like, all right, well, let's lose that. But yeah, the sister was supposed to be a vampire after she gets turned. There was definitely supposed to be an aspect of that just kind of. I mean, the vampire ended up not even having teeth. That because the makeup guy was just under way too much of a time crunch. You know, I drove him nuts. I drove Steve nuts being in that costume. You know, I think with the amount of time that we actually had him in makeup, it's amazing that he's in the movie as much as he is. Because, I mean, he was like dying in that thing. I felt so bad for him. Steve, you know, he's very, very nice. You know, British guy, but his like kind of chav attitude will come out if you piss him off.
And that's what I sort of picked up. He's sort of watered down his East London accent.
Yeah,
I think he's
I don't know exactly. Yeah, it's like I think it's like what is it? Shepherd's Bush, Hammersmith, that kind of area.
That's just outside central. In fact, that's where my last job was working down that way. That's right in sort of central London. Heading towards the East End, you know, it's sort of.
He's the sweetest guy ever. Let's do this, but I got a jet. I'm about 25 minutes over what I was allowed. But I just want to say real quick before I take off, Calvin, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we finally got you on, man, and I definitely can't wait to check out Pillow Party Massacre. Like,
and the next one after that, man. You guys helped me out so much. So anytime.
Been a pleasure, man.
All right, buddy. Catch you later.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, man. Suppose we'll just wrap up and just not really question. Most important question of all: what's next on the horizon?
Yeah, so Pillow Party Massacre just came out.
Now, is that the Slumber Party Massacre?
Yeah, totally. In all the massacre movies, like I said, I usually like to do things that I want to do. You know, I've always wanted to do a like a Slumber Party Massacre movie, and I kind of had this idea for this slasher, but it's not really my genre until I was out for a jog and I thought of the title Pillow Party Massacre and I thought, oh, that's already got to be a movie, right? And it wasn't. So I was like, all right, perfect. But that one's coming out. I'm just finishing up post on this last movie, which right now is called Door to the Inferno. But I imagine, I know that they're going to retitle it something else. And then I actually produced a film for them that was actually directed by Victor in this movie, Eric Skybach, because he's a filmmaker, called Exorcism in Utero. That's his film, his script. I'm in it a little bit, but I just produced that one. And then as long as these do well, Breaking Glass is always interested in producing another one for us. So we're working on something right now for them to turn in. but you never know. You know, I always say that, you know, that the last one could always be the last. You know, you never know. So,
just got to keep plugging on, mate. You know, the important thing is never give up. I say as to any creator that comes on the show and talk about, it's like the important thing is to keep cracking on. And if things don't pan out financially, think of another plan, but don't ever stop. We need more creators out there. We need people that aren't just part of the corporate sludge.
Right.
But don't need any more of that. We're getting drowned in it. And it's sad, you know, the state of entertainment today is in the worst place ever.
Yeah.
And yes, there are movies we'll make fun of. We'll always do it in the horror genre. That's what it's all about. That's actually half the fun of it. We know that budget limitations, because the rest of filmmakers just thumb their nose down at the horror genre, which I don't know why, because that's the most passionate people involved. You can see the love in the movies that people actually want to create and make something. So maybe that threatens them.
Yeah.
That's why they have to work so hard. So never give up, mate. And thanks very much for coming on. And thanks very much for being so generous. Two fat nerds that just
no, thank you guys, man. I need this stuff. I need more people talking about it, even if someone watches it because another creator says, "Oh, this was terrible." That's fine with me, man. I need more people.
You gotta see what it's about.
You know,
I will say email. This, we get one more view that through this channel that you never had. We've done our job.
Yes, 100%. So I'm always on board with it. I email other podcasts and YouTube channels and tell them, like, make fun of it, man. Just tear this apart. Just get some eyes on this. And you know, follow 7th Street Productions and let
links in the descriptions, folks. By the way, so make sure you
check
all that good stuff out.
Visit
and hopefully, we'll get a wee bit of. We'll talk after the stream's finished, you know, but we'll keep people up to date with future projects. And
you're
more than welcome to be on again. It'll be absolute blast.
Yeah, go watch Pillow Party Massacre. I don't know.
That's on the queue. That's already going to happen.
I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to anyway. You can follow Breaking Glass Pictures and mention how they need to produce more movies by 7th Street Productions. I don't know. You know, if anyone out there wants to
here, give these guys a bit more
all
time.
Your viewers,
there's a gem, right? There's a gem here of storytelling. Give a guy a chance to breathe and let it happen.
Yeah,
that's so. And you know, man, that's been the major thing with your movies. Just give this guy a bit of flipping breathing space. You're onto something here, you know, and definitely horror comedy. We want to see one of those. Just go for it. But anyway, folks, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks to everyone in the chat who turned up. I know there's been a conversation happening there and didn't get to bring everybody on, but thanks everyone on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff that joined in, and keep up to date with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.